Hi, I'm Tom, and in this tutorial for FreeCAD I will show you how to create a 2D schematic plan view of a kitchen sink. That would be the first part of this tutorial, and then in the second part I will show you how to create these dimensions. This is a tutorial for complete beginners, but I expect that you have some idea of basic UI concepts of FreeCAD. I will be using FreeCAD version 1.0 in this tutorial. So let's get straight into it. In the default startup view of FreeCAD, I will start a 2D draft document, which will set me in the top view. That's important. Also, the working plane will be top working plane, and I'm working in the Draft Workbench. I already adjusted some of my toolbars positions, but you should follow the tools easily. So let's get started drafting. First, I will create this rectangle with the size of 600 by 1200. So in FreeCAD, I will start the rectangle tool, and now I want to place it at the beginning at the point 0.0 in my drawing. So I will turn on my snapping, and I will turn on snapping to the grid. So while I'm drafting, it's important for you to follow which snap points I have turned on. So now I turned on snapping to grid. Now I can zoom in a little bit. I can snap here, and you can see the position of local X and local Y here. If I'm here, I can click, and I have snapped to 0.000. Now I will zoom out, and the dimensions of the rectangle I will fill in here in the position of the next point. So I can leave my mouse here and type in on my keyboard local X will be 1200. I will hit enter. Local Y will be 600. I will hit enter. Local Z will be 0, so I will hit enter. And I have created a rectangle that is 600 by 1200. You can see it here in the properties. I've got my rectangle selected, and here in the properties, the data properties, I've got height 600 and length 1200. So the size is correct. But what I want to change on the rectangle is make face is set to true, and I will change it to false and click in my 3D view, so just the outline of the rectangle is in my drawing. Now I don't like the snapping on the grid. I don't like to work with grid too much, so I will turn it off. I will fit my view, and now what I want to draw is this inner square, which is 520 by 520, and it's 40 millimeters from this corner and 40 millimeters from this side. I will bother with the fillets at the end of the drawing, so now I will draw a rectangle with sharp edges. And so what I want to do is find this point where the rectangle starts, and for that I will use construction geometry. So back in FreeCAD, construction geometry is geometry that's helping you with drawing. So to create construction geometry, I will turn this shovel on, and if I click it, the geometry that I newly create will be created as a construction geometry. So now I will create a rectangle, and I want to start at this corner, so I'll turn snapping to endpoints on. Now if I hover my mouse over the line, you can see the pink point. If I click it, I started at that point, and now again I will use the coordinates, which are set to be relative from the original first corner that I clicked. So local X will be 40, I will hit enter. Local Y will be 40, hit enter. Local Z is 0, hit enter. And now I will turn off the grid. and you can see that I created a rectangle and it's placed in the construction group because I created it as a construction geometry. So then I can easily turn this group off and the construction geometry won't be visible, or I can delete it. You can see the construction geometry because it's blue easily. So now I will make sure you turn off the construction geometry, because now we will create the rectangle, which is 520 by 520 millimeters. So let's start the rectangle tool again. Click here. There's a grid there, but never mind. The important thing is if you hover your mouse over the line, the pink point will show up, and that's the snapping to the endpoint. So I will click there. And now these relative coordinates, again, I will type in 520, hit enter, 520, hit enter, and hit enter for 0. So this is this rectangle here. So again, with this rectangle, I want to make face false, because again, I don't want to have those faces there. So this is nice. And now let's make this part. And you can see that this line will be 600 millimeters long. So I know the length. So I will start this line tool. Click here as the beginning point of, I want to start there. And if I move my mouse here and hold Shift and move it a little bit again, you can see up here that if I hold Shift, the next point is locked to moving just in that axis. If I move it here, it's locked to the y-axis. If I move it here, it's locked to the x-axis. So now I will release Shift and type in, it was 600. And this way I drafted a line which is 600 millimeters long, and it's horizontal. Okay, so now I can continue. I will create another line. I will start drafting it here. And if I hold Shift, now I'm locked to the y-axis. So you can see it here, and I want to make it as long as this one. So if I move my mouse over here, the FreeCAD will snap to this point. So from holding Shift, I'm locked to the y-axis, and if I place my cursor here, I will lock to that point. And if I click while holding Shift, I created this line at exact length of this one, so it's 520. Now I can finish third line, click here, snap to this point. So now let's draft this line, which will be in the middle, and it will be 500 millimeters long. So I will again start the line, and I want to snap to the middle of this line, but it's snapping to the endpoints. So I have to turn on snapping to the midpoint of the line. I can leave this on. And now if I'm hovering mouse here, I'm snapping to the midpoint. If I hover my mouse here, I would be snapping to the endpoint. So I want to snap to the midpoint, click, and again hold Shift and type in it was 500 millimeters. So this line is created. Now I want to create these two lines, which I don't have the dimension here, but it's 520 divided by 4, which is 130 millimeters. So this will be 130 millimeters from this one. So for this, I will use the offset tool. Now, the offset tool, I will first select the line that I want to offset. Then I will start the offset tool. And the offset tool works that you select the direction of the offset either up or down by hovering your mouse in the right place. And then you type in the distance that you want to offset. So I will type in 130 and hit enter. And you can see that I did the offset, but the original line disappeared. Why is that? I will do undo. And when you do undo, it's good practice to also redraw the document so everything is visible as it's undone. So I will again select the line, start the offset tool, and originally this one was deleted because I did not have selected the copy option of the offset tool. So I will check in copy, and now I will hover my mouse here, type in 130, hit enter, and now it created an offset copy of the original line. I will do the same to the bottom, so I will select the line, hit offset, hover my mouse here, and you can see that the last use setting is here, so I don't have to check in copy anymore. So I will type in 130, hit enter, and the offset is created. So it's moving on nicely, and now let's create this circle, which is in the middle of this rectangle, and it's 100. The center of the circle is 100 millimeters from the top line. So I will start the circle command, and first I will draw, because it's asking me for the center of the circle. I've got snapping to the midpoint turned on, so I will click here on the center of this line, and now it's asking me for radius. So the radius will be I will type in 50 and hit enter. Oops, so I messed up. The diameter is 50, radius should be 25. So I can select the circle, and here in the properties, the data part of the properties, here is the radius, so I will change it to 25, hit enter, and also change the make face to false and hit enter. So now the circle is right, but it's in a wrong position. So while the circle is still selected, I will fire up the move tool, and the move tool works that you select a point which you want to grab some object, and then you will select another point where this point will be translated together with those other selected elements. So I can select the point, let's say the center again, and now I'm moving the circle. If I hold shift again, I locked my movement just to the y-axis. Now I release shift and type in 100 as of millimeters, hit enter, and you can see that I did a mistake, because if I'm moving in the y-axis to the bottom, it's with minus. With plus, it's up. With minus, it's to the bottom, because positive y-axis is to the top. So I will go a step back, redraw the drawing, and again I've got my circle selected, fire up the move tool, select the midpoint, hold shift, type in minus 100 and hit enter, and now it's placed in the correct position. So what is left for us to do is to create these fillets, and they've got a radius of 40, and they are here, 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 and here. So how do we achieve that? First off, I don't need this construction geometry anymore, so I will select the construction group and hit delete, and I will delete also the objects that were inside of the group. So now I've got only my geometry, and to make fillets on this object, I will click it, and luckily I created it as a rectangle, not an independent lines. And here in the rectangle properties, you've got the option fillet radius. So I will select that, type in 40, hit enter, and all of the corners of the rectangle are filleted with 40 millimeter radius. So this was easy. But I've got no such option here when I created these as lines. So how do we create this fillet? We do that by using the chamfer or fillet command, and we use it by first selecting the two lines. I will select the first one, hold Control, select the second one. Now both are selected. Now I will fire up the fillet command, and it's asking me for fillet radius. So I will type in 40, hit enter, and you can see that the fillet is created, but these lines remain as original ones, as at the original length. And I wanna remove these ends of those lines. I could use trim or extend command for that, but there's an option of the fillet command that enables me to do this automatically. So I will go again, I will undo one step. I don't have to redraw now because it redrawn itself. So I will select this line with Control, select this line, fire up fillet command, and I can select delete original objects. This one will delete these end lines. So now I will type in fillet radius 40, and you can see that the fillet is created and these end lines are deleted. What's important is that now when I deleted these end lines, FreeCAD created this fillet as a wire one object. This will be important now because I want to fillet this line and Control select this line. And if I select again fillet radius 40, now I've got error, which if I will close the fillet tool, the problem is that I cannot fillet a fillet. So what do I do now? I can select this fillet, and because it was changed to one object, and now I can downgrade it using the downgrade tool into 3 individual edges. And now I can select this one, select fillet, and I have to again select delete original objects, type in radius 40, hit enter, and now the fillet was created. And now this one, so I will prevent future problems, I will downgrade it so it's again created as edges. If I wanted to create a line again from the edge, because I can do more things with line than with edge, I will select the edge and upgrade it. And now it's line with all of these properties that the edge does not have. So sometimes it's good to upgrade from edge to line. Okay, great. So we've got the basic geometry done. And now let's organize the project a little bit. Let's create a layer. So I will go to the layers manager, open it, create a new layer, and I will name it sync geometry, and I will leave all of these as they are. I will hit OK. You can see in the project tree I've got the layers container, and there's one layer, the sync geometry. And now I want to select all of my geometry. So I will use the shortcut Shift B for box select. Click here, Shift B, click here and drag, release mouse here, and I've got all of these edges and circles, etc. selected. And now I can drag and drop them into my layer. So now I could easily hide or work with edges. So we learned how to create some basic geometry like rectangles, lines, circles. We learned how to create fillets, how to create offsets. So the basic geometry is done. And in the part 2 of this tutorial, I will show you how to create these dimensions. If you like using the Draft Workbench, consider supporting Jorik van Haver on Patreon. He's the main developer of the Draft Workbench. I hope this was useful and I will see you in the next one.